Oregon fans, big deep breath in, deep breath out, all right? Massive get, both literally and metaphorically, in the form of five-star offensive tackle Manny Ehanacho. Worked on that pronunciation for a few minutes before we actually did this video, but glad to have y'all dialed in. If you're an Oregon fan, you're glad to get this news. Five-star, like I said, offensive tackle out of Georgetown Prep in Baltimore, Maryland. Number 4 player in the entire country. Not number 4 offensive tackle, not number 4 in the state of Maryland. Number 4 player in the country in the class of 2026. What does it mean for Oregon? What does it communicate for all of us in the college football public around Oregon and Dan Lanning? We'll talk about all that right now. Before we do that, though, make sure you are subscribed, Oregon fans. 4th of July, tomorrow. We understand now. 4th of July has kind of become a recruiting holiday. The month of July is a recruiting sprint. We want y'all dialed in right here to the On3 YouTube channel. Also now, make sure you're dialed in to the Rivals YouTube channel. Josh Newberg, Steve Wiltfong, Chad Simmons doing the Lord's work when it comes to covering recruiting year-round. So make sure you're subscribed to both channels. Appreciate y'all in advance for doing that. What I said at the top, though, Manny Ehanacho is an absolute massive human being. 6'7", 380 pounds. Move a little bit too, right? Basketball background. The scouting report on him is he's pretty athletic, great linear movement as well. When you talk about the Big Ten and what that conference is defined by, I understand the game is, I think, starting to drift more and more towards favoring the quarterback position when you get to the playoff. But in the Big Ten, when you go to Ann Arbor in the month of November, when you go to Camp Randall and it's cold, or you go to Kinnick Stadium out there during the month of October, early November, like it's cold. It's defined in the trenches. Big people still move small people, and you got a very big person in Manny Ehanacho making his way out to Eugene. Now, here's what I think really deserves some more attention now. Manny Ehanacho has this picture from a visit he took to Eugene with him and his dad, and there's no way to take a negative away from this picture. 2 positives when you look at this picture with Manny Ehanacho and his dad. Either A, Manny Ehanacho has a ridiculous vertical, which I asked On3 Director of Scouting Charles Power about this picture. He said it's not ridiculous to think that could be Manny Ehanacho just jumping straight up in the air. 6'7", 380, that kind of separation from the ground. Okay, that's nuts. So that's one possibility. The other possibility, which is also a positive, is his dad's just a straight-up Jedi. All right? If your dad has the Force, and that's in your lineage, you're playing offensive tackle, you just move people with your mind. Probably a good thing for Dan Lanning and company, probably a good thing for Oregon as they look to go repeat as Big Ten champions here in the future. But this is something that I think is still a little bit of taking some getting used to for me when it comes to talking about Oregon or assessing Oregon recruiting. Every time Oregon gets a 5-star commitment under Dan Lanning, I am reminded that this is Dan Lanning's Oregon. Not to say they didn't get 5 stars under previous regimes, but it's a little bit more expected now for Oregon. Like multiple top 10 classes, top 5 classes for Dan Lanning. This is kind of who they are. This is the seat at the table they have now established. And also to piggyback on that point, they also are a team that is going to major in the trenches. Like Oregon has had a 1,000-yard rusher every single year Dan Lanning has been their head coach. Oregon just got both their offensive tackles drafted from last season, one of which in Josh Connolly went in the first round of the NFL draft. Like, this is who Oregon is now. Yes, they still got the cool uniforms. Yes, they're still flashy, a fun, exciting brand of offense, but they are majoring in what they do up front. And I think a lot of that goes back to who Dan Lanning is. I'll beat this horse till it's all the way dead, and it's dead. We're going to keep beating it. Dan Lanning is gritty. He's tough, majors in being a physical football team. Your persona of your leadership eventually becomes the persona of your football team. And we can tell the persona of Oregon football is what I just said. Majoring in the trenches, physical, gritty, all those things, and that's what you're getting here, Manny Ehanacho. Now, as we zoom out now, I just want to talk to Oregon fans directly here. So if you're not an Oregon fan, stick around if you want to. We want you to stick around. But, this to me is just a stabilizer. Let's all relax. Let's all relax a little bit. Because for the last really few months, there's been this maybe very quiet level of concern, maybe sometimes not so quiet, depending on where you look across Oregon circles when it comes to their recruiting efforts. A couple of misses on different recruits that you would have liked to have committed to you at this point in time for Oregon. And there was, I think, this sense of hey, what's going on with Oregon recruiting? Hey, does Dan Lanning still have it? Is Oregon going to finish where they expect to finish in the recruiting rankings on National Signing Day? Oregon right now is a top 10 class. Oregon missed on a couple of guys for sure. But let's not pretend for 1 second that Oregon's not going to benefit from a strong season in 2025. That's how I feel about it. And then also, what have we seen Oregon do every single national signing day? Every single year. I'm sitting here with Josh Newberg. We're doing our 4-hour plus show that we do every signing day. And you start to hear rumors around, hey, Oregon's making a move for this prospect that may or may not already be committed. Big splash last year flipping Naeem Offord. Is he going to flip to Auburn from Ohio State? No, he flips to Oregon. I guess it was a couple years ago. Austin Novosad committed to Baylor. High-profile quarterback recruit. Signing day, flips to Oregon. Oregon's going to do some of their best work late. And so this is a great get for Oregon getting Manny Ehanacho. There's no way to, again, take a negative from letting a 5-star plus offensive tackle, top 5 player in the country. But Oregon's going to do more work here during and after the season. I have to believe that based on what we know about Dan Lanning and based on what we know about the Ducks. So if you're an Oregon fan, let me know your thoughts on this, but I would just take a deep breath. I would relax on all the concern around the recruiting trail. As long as Dan Lanning is running the show, you will be in a good spot when it comes to acquiring talent. All right? So appreciate y'all being locked in. Caden Smith on the ones and the twos, myself, Jody PicKell. We will keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.